Imagine sitting alone in a dark room, heart pounding, watching a video that just shattered everything you thought you knew about the future of professional wrestling. That is exactly where I found myself tonight, and by the time you finish hearing what I am about to tell you, you are going to feel the exact same way. Something happened after Backlash went off the air that nobody saw coming, and the wrestling world will never be the same again. There is a feeling that is almost impossible to describe, the kind that hits you right in the chest when you hear a voice you never expected to hear again. A voice from the past, from another world entirely, from a man who walked away from everything years ago and built an entirely new legacy somewhere else. That was the feeling that stopped me cold tonight while I was scrolling through social media after Backlash 2026 wrapped up from the Benchmark International Arena in Tampa, Florida. Jon Moxley, the man the entire WWE Universe once knew as Dean Ambrose, the third pillar of the most dominant faction in modern wrestling history, had just broken his silence. And what he said to Seth Rollins after Bron Breakker destroyed him in that arena, it gave me chills I still have not shaken. Before we get any further into this, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button right now for Wrestling Juice, because the forbidden door just cracked open and you are absolutely not going to want to miss a single second of what comes next. Let me take you all the way back to the opening match of Backlash 2026. Seth Rollins versus Bron Breakker, two former members of the Vision, two men whose feud has been burning hotter and hotter ever since Breakker returned from hernia surgery and speared Rollins right out of his WrestleMania 42 main event against Gunther. This was supposed to be Seth Rollins' night. He was supposed to walk into Tampa, get his revenge, and remind the entire world exactly why he built the Vision in the first place. He was supposed to prove to Paul Heyman, to Bron Breakker, and to everyone watching that replacing him with a younger and more vicious model was the single biggest mistake anyone in that faction ever made. But Bron Breakker had entirely different plans for the evening. With Austin Theory and Logan Paul both lurking at ringside to ensure their man walked out with the victory, Breakker managed to counter an avalanche curb stomp, explode forward with a torpedo spear that nearly cut Rollins in half, and then followed it all up with another devastating spear that put Seth down for the 1, 2, 3. It was decisive. It was brutal. It was heartbreaking. And Seth Rollins lay there in the center of that ring, staring up at the lights, his dreams shattered across the canvas all over again. Here is what has been gnawing at me since that final bell rang. Seth Rollins has been fighting completely alone for months now. He has been going to war against the very faction he created himself, without real backup, without genuine allies, and without a single person he can truly trust watching his back. The Street Profits made their attempts to stand by his side, but deep down everyone knew they were never truly his brothers in the way that word actually means something in this business. Paul Heyman abandoned him. Bron Breakker betrayed him in the most personal and calculated way possible. And now, after suffering yet another crushing defeat in a premium live event setting, Seth Rollins finds himself at what might genuinely be the lowest point of his entire career. The challenge facing him right now is not just physical, as real and serious as those injuries are after absorbing spear after spear night after night. The challenge is psychological. How many times can one man be driven into the canvas, stare up at those arena lights, and still summon the will to stand back up and fight? How many betrayals can a single human being endure before something inside them simply breaks and never fully heals again? Those are the questions hanging in the air over Seth Rollins right now, and for a while tonight, there did not seem to be any good answers. But then, just when the darkness felt like it was completely closing in, a light flickered on from the most unexpected direction imaginable. Now I need you to listen to every single word I am about to say, because I will never forget this moment for as long as I live. A video appeared late tonight across social media, grainy and raw, shot on what appeared to be a phone camera inside a dimly lit hotel room somewhere far away from Tampa, Florida. And there he was. Jon Moxley, the reigning AEW World Champion, the man who walked out of WWE in April of 2019 and went on to build a completely different and remarkable legacy in another promotion entirely. He was sitting there in a plain black hoodie, his hair longer than most of us remember it, his face more weathered by years of wars in rings all across the globe. But those eyes, those wild and completely unpredictable eyes, were exactly the same as they have always been. He did not stand up and cut a wrestling promo. He did not make threats or issue challenges in the traditional sense. He simply sat there and talked, the way one brother talks to another when the cameras and the business and the politics all fall away and only the truth remains. He said that he had been watching everything. He said he saw what Bron Breakker did to Seth in Tampa. He said he saw what Paul Heyman did to him long before that. And then he said something that hit like a thunderbolt, that he knows exactly how it feels to be alone in this business, that he knows precisely how it feels to have the people you trusted most turn their backs on you when you needed them the most. He paused after saying that, and the silence that filled that video was genuinely deafening. Then he leaned directly into the camera, and in a quiet and completely calm voice, he said that he told Seth when he left that it was not goodbye. He said he told him he loved him, that he called him brother, and that they would see each other again. He said that time is coming. He said that when Seth is ready to fight back, when he is ready to stand up and remind the vision who actually built them from the ground up, he will not be standing alone anymore. Then he raised his fist, just like the Shield used to do in those thunderous arena moments that defined a generation of professional wrestling, and the video cut to black. No catchphrase, no signature sign-off. Just a promise made between two men who have known each other since, before most fans ever heard either of their names. I have been turning this over in my head all night long, and here is where I genuinely land on it. Jon Moxley did not have to do any of this. He is the face of AEW, reportedly signed to a long-term contract with that company that runs through 2027. He had absolutely nothing to gain from putting himself in the middle of this situation and everything to lose from a political and professional standpoint. Seth Rollins himself has said publicly on more than one occasion that the chances of any kind of Shield reunion are very slim. But that is the entire point, because that is exactly the thing about genuine brotherhood. It does not care about contracts. It does not respect promotional boundaries. It has absolutely no interest in the forbidden door or what it means for the business side of professional wrestling. Moxley and Rollins have been bonded together since they came up side by side in FCW, since they debuted together at Survivor Series 2012 and immediately began tearing the roof off every arena they entered as part of the most dominant faction in the modern era of this sport. When Moxley finally walked away from WWE 7 years ago, the last words he said to Seth Rollins were that he loved him, that it was not goodbye, and that he would see him sometime. Rollins has kept that promise alive across all those years, telling interviewers repeatedly and with genuine conviction that fans have not seen the last of the two of them together. The fans are going to have a great deal to say about all of this, and honestly they should. Some are going to say this is nothing but wishful thinking, that Moxley is locked into AEW, and this video was simply a kind and personal gesture from a man who cares about his friend and nothing more. Others are going to say that this is the first domino falling in what could become the most shocking crossover event in the history of professional wrestling. But here is my completely honest take on the entire situation. Jon Moxley did not record that video for nothing. He is the AEW World Champion and one of the most recognizable figures in this entire industry. He understands better than almost anyone alive that every single word he says will be dissected, analyzed, clipped, and turned into headlines within minutes of being posted.